Let me share a secret with you, Euphrates. There are no gods. That's the first thing. If there were, they would operate in silent and measureless mystery. Their ways too sublime for us to perceive. But there are those who would have you believe they are gods. Who, I should say, want to be gods. And the first step they take to that end? They deny themselves. They assume a humble attitude and declare, I am not a god, even though you might think I am. It is a psychological pathway to foster faith. I saw him begin it all those years ago. I knew that one day he would be proclaimed a god. He is, after all, immensely powerful. He will become a god whether he likes it or not. Godhood is the ultimate tool of control. It is the pinnacle of tyranny. Faith drives your followers. Blind faith. You no longer have to make any sense at all. You no longer have to justify your actions. You are followed blindly. If, like him, you do not care to be criticized or doubted, it is a state to be wished for. Called monster and father of monsters, called genius and criminal, called the last lord of old night, locked away and hidden from history. Today, with what limited information we have, I attempt to explain just who is Basilio Fo. No one knows for sure exactly when or where Fo was born, but from what information we do have, it was on Terra sometime during or even before the Age of Strife. A gifted geneticist and biologist, the earliest information we can confirm suggests Fo first rose to prominence as a sort of mercenary scientist, selling his services to various warlords all over Terra. In his own words, he simply liked to play. The game in question was the creation of genetic monstrosities to be deployed in war, or the gestation of phages and viruses that would reap countless lives. And why not? Terra was crawling with warring monarchs and warlords. They were happy to pay, they were happy to supply test subjects, and especially if it meant strengthening their own positions. Records from this era may be hard to come by, but we do know Fo was able to use his sciences to extend his own lifespan dramatically, possibly indefinitely. We also know, early into what is now called the Unification Wars, Basilio gained enough first-hand information about the Emperor to realize the future master of mankind was not simply another warlord fighting for his slice of the home world. No, this man with his own genetic monsters, his custodies and his thunder warriors, with his mighty psychic powers and his utter unshakable conviction, this man who called himself Emperor before he even held an empire, would seize all of Terra. It was only a matter of time, and once that time came, the planet they used to call Earth would be no place for Basilio Fo. So he found a way off-world while the Unification Wars still raged. From here, details become a little murky once more. We know at some point he settled on a planet called Velikan. Sometime after this, he took control of the world. As Fo isn't a politician, but an amoral monster, he likely did this via the use of his ferocious bioweapons. It is unclear how long Fo ruled Velikan, though it could only have been a century or so at most, as it was brought into compliance by the 63rd Expeditionary Fleet. Those of you familiar with the Great Crusade may recall the 63rd Fleet and who happened to lead it. A commander by the name of Horus Heresy. So when I say that the monsters and plagues of Basilio Fo were almost enough to defend his world and slay the Primarch attacking it, understand just how significant an accomplishment even coming close to victory was. Still, despite this grand effort, the criminal of the Unification Wars was dragged back to Terra in chains. That's where this tale of genetic horror should have ended, with Fo locked away in some dark cell for all time, where it would have ended had the galaxy not been torn apart by civil war. When the traitor hordes of Horus Lupercal besieged Terra, any and all solutions had to be considered. After Fo had been among a number of prisoners interviewed by famed Remembromancer Euphrates Keeler, the potential he presented became clear. Basilio claimed that he could create a weapon that would slay every last Space Marine and their Primarch gene sires. Given his past accomplishments, the Custodes and the agents of the Sigillite believed he may even be telling the truth. As the siege of Terra worsened, Fo was given access to information and laboratory equipment. When the Blackstone prison fell, he was moved to the Tower of the Sigillite. With access to Malcador's records and equipment, he made rapid progress, giving birth to a phage that, if released, would annihilate every last Astartes warrior, be they traitor or loyalist. If it worked as he claimed, it would act on both their physical bodies and souls, allowing it to destroy the demonically infused, or even Primarchs. As of the creation of this video, this is the last we have seen of Fo. Various factions within the remaining Imperial Palace vying for control of his weapon. Perhaps after the siege he was locked away again, and his weapon was destroyed. Perhaps it still exists, a final solution in the arsenal of the Custodes or even the Inquisition. Who can say? With the release of The End and the Death of Part 3, we should learn more, but as things stand, that is all we know about the horrific genius, Basilio Fo.